is Sports Talk with Phil Kornbluth, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil, Chris, and Pat with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Sports Talk here on Sports Talk Media Network. Busy Thursday night for you. Got a lot to do. You want to join in? 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number for you here on Sports Talk. Phil Kornbluth, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel. Football gets started tonight here in South Carolina. Benedict and Edward Waters, a game that'll be on ESPNU from over at, I think that game's over at Benedict. And we've got the NFL tonight, Tampa Bay and Dallas. So we welcome the NFL back into our lives once again. Always have a little extra zip in the step when the NFL is here. Tomorrow night, it's Coastal Carolina at Kansas. Coastal Carolina, a 26.5-point favorite for that one. Chris will be alongside the folks there at Coastal Carolina. He'll join us from the stadium tomorrow night, leading up to the kickoff at 7 o'clock, expecting a huge crowd there at the official name of the stadium. Is it Springs Brooks Stadium?
No, that's actually the baseball stadium.
Okay, I get those confused.
The football stadium is Brooks Stadium. The baseball complex is Springs Brooks Stadium.
Okay.
So I can see why there's a little confusion there because, the names are eerily similar. But, the football stadium is Brooks Stadium, and they're hoping for what would be the biggest crowd ever. They came close. Their last home game against the Citadel, just over 17,000, Phil, and they're hoping to get 20,000 in there tomorrow night. I can't imagine that they won't. The only obvious conflict tomorrow night is high school football, and unfortunately along the Grand Strand and in Horry County, there are so many teams that are still dealing with COVID. There may not be games going on that would conflict. As a matter of fact, Myrtle Beach is playing at Oceanside Collegiate, so one of the top programs in Horry County will not even be in town tomorrow night.
Yeah, we'll go over some of those cancellations again. The last 3 weeks or so, they've been averaging over 40 cancellations per week. Take a look at it tonight and see how that stands. Got a great lineup for you tonight. We'll have Chalk Talk at the bottom of the hour with Chuck Reedy and Ellis Johnson. I'm sure they'll have a lot to share as we talk about the games of the past weekend and the games coming up. And also Jeff Farrington later tonight, 7:30, head coach at North Greenville, as the North Greenville Crusaders will be heading to Newberry on Saturday in what will be a big Division II NCAA D2 game here in our state. Those two teams got off to good starts this past weekend, so that should be a really good matchup over at Newberry. And recruiting-wise, South Carolina gets the commitment this afternoon from Brian Thomas Jr., defensive end out of Winter Garden, Florida, 6'2", 215. We list him as a defensive end. Not sure that's exactly how they'll use him. Maybe kind of a hybrid in their defense with an outside linebacker, maybe walking up to the line a little bit, maybe even, dropping back and playing some nickel-type coverage with a big-bodied type player that he is. He's the son of a former NFL player, of course, and he joins the Gamecocks this afternoon after taking his official visit. So Brian Thomas Jr., Winter Garden, Florida, commits to the Gamecocks. More on that in recruiting coming up. We'll hear from Luke Doty, USC quarterback, talking this week about getting healthy and his role this week for the Gamecocks. Will he start? Will he sit? Will he come off the bench? Shane Beamer has said he doesn't want to roll him out there unless he's 100% healthy, because he doesn't want to risk further injury to a player who any mobility issues. If he's not as mobile as he can be, he wants to make sure he's ready to go. So it could be Doty, it could be Zeb Noland again for the Gamecocks up at East Carolina, and we'll hear from James Skalski, Clemson linebacker, as the Tigers try to put that stinging loss to Georgia behind them. They get South Carolina State this Saturday in what will be, a walkover game for the Tigers. So South Carolina, East Carolina, Chris, and that is a real trap game for the Gamecocks. They have been, of course, feeling good about themselves this week. A lot of positivity, a lot of way to go, guys, and pats on the back after beating Eastern Illinois. But they beat them soundly in a way that they should have. Now, of course, the focus has to be on an East Carolina team, which is dangerous. They return about 20 starters from last year. They have a really good quarterback. They have a solid running game. They're playing at their newly renovated stadium, which will be over 50,000. And you know, the East Carolina fans, they always feel like they're the redheaded stepchild to everybody. North Carolina and NC State. And this is a 20-game rivalry now with South Carolina. This will be game 20. Gamecocks have won 14 of the first 19. Many of them really, really close games, including the last one they played in Columbia when Brandon McElwain was the starting quarterback. Remember that name? Gamecocks got off to a nice lead, had to hold on. East Carolina had 3 turnovers within the 10-yard line of the Gamecocks that aided the Gamecocks' cause. This is a very dangerous game for South Carolina. Mike Houston's an excellent coach. They have circled this game on their schedule for sure because it is an SEC game. It's a nearby rival. They're coming off a loss to Appalachian State. They don't want to go down 0-2. I mean, the Gamecocks they've got to play a high-level SEC high-level football game to win this game at East Carolina, I would think.
I don't know that it was hyperbole when Shane Beamer said this on Tuesday, Phil, but I think there's some truth to this. He actually said he's been told by folks, whomever that is, that this is the biggest home game in the history of East Carolina football. Again, I think probably somewhat coached hyperbole, but nonetheless, it gives you an idea of where at least the Gamecocks view this game. And you talked about Holton Ahlers, their quarterback. That was a young man that Shane Beamer said when he was at Georgia, they recruited, and had Justin Fields turned them down, they were going to take him as one of their quarterbacks. To give you an idea of how good a player he is. Played okay against Appalachian State. Penalties were such a critically important reason as to why they lost against the Mountaineers. So, yeah, this is no pushover for sure. And this is a game, if the Gamecocks don't have the Pirates' full attention, or at least the if they're not looking, if they are looking ahead to Georgia, they'll get beat. There's no doubt. I can't imagine they're looking ahead to Georgia, because this is one of those games they've got to have if they want to have anywhere close to a successful season. You can't drop this one and then presumably go on the road and lose at Georgia and then try and bounce back at 1-2 when Kentucky comes into town, a very good Kentucky team. This is a critically important game for South Carolina.
I would agree. You cannot. And I'd be shocked if they're not 100% locked in on this game and this opponent. And, yeah, it's hyperbole. Look, they've played North Carolina there. They've played NC State. And those games certainly mean more than South Carolina does because of the in-state rivals. But South Carolina has become a good cross-the-state rival for East Carolina. I think this is a good game. You know, Chuck Reedy said last week, and he said it previously, whoever scheduled this game should be fired, you know. I mean, that's what he has said, because he knows East Carolina. Of course, Ellis Johnson once coached at East Carolina, so he'll know that situation well also when they join us. And their thinking is this is too tough of a road game, for a rebuilding South Carolina team to go and win. Yet, you know, after the one game, you look at the South Carolina team, you see an excellent group of running backs. Quarterback is still a question mark. You see a receiving group that is coming on. You know, I hearken back to the end of last year when talking about the Gamecock receivers, and I said here on the show, Josh Vann, the latter part of last year from the LSU game on, go back and look at what he did. He caught a meaningless touchdown pass in Baton Rouge, but it was an excellent catch where he had to go extend himself, pull the ball down around the defenders, and hold on as he hit the ground, and it was a touchdown. You know, the Gamecocks were well out of it. The point being, Josh Vann sort of started to come of age then and had a good rest of the season. And he got off to this season with an excellent start against Eastern Illinois. So he might be emerging as that primary receiver for the Gamecock quarterbacks, along with the tight ends, of course. I think Jaheim Bell, Nick Muse look like they're going to have big, big seasons for them. And then you just need some more receivers to come on. You know, Joyner has got to become more of a contributor. If he's going to be a starter, he's got to become more of a contributor when he's on the field, get the ball in his hands, and let him see what he can do with it. And then defensively, and in special teams, what they do? They pitched a shutout, their first shutout since 2014. Blocked a couple of punts, something they hadn't done in a long time. So all those elements came together for them in that game, and they'll need similar type performances from all three groups Saturday to go win, even though they are 2-point favorite. I mean, I think this game is pretty much a pick 'em if you ask me.
Well, I would agree. And you talked about the wide receivers, and with all of the wonderful things that came out of last Saturday, I think in some regards, the wide receivers may have underperformed a little bit. You talked about Josh Vann in terms of being a wide receiver at that position. He was their best player, but just 2 receptions for 27 yards and a score. Phil, I'm not sure they can live on the fact that the tight ends and the running backs are the players who are catching more balls than their wide receiving core, and especially the fact they did not stretch the field at all against Eastern Illinois. Didn't have to. They're going to have to start doing that. Somebody's going to have to get behind that secondary to soften up the defensive front to allow South Carolina to run the football a little bit even more than they were able to do against Eastern Illinois. Once you get to a standpoint where teams start looking at you and think, all right, White's going to be their best ball catcher out of the backfield. Marshawn Lloyd, he can catch the ball out of the backfield. Let's put 9 guys in the box and see what really they can do in terms of stretching the field with Josh Vann and Jalen Brooks and Amarian Brown and Ortre Smith and those guys. But until they actually go out and prove it, I think a lot of defenses are going to look at South Carolina as a totally running team, and all their running backs are involved in the passing game as much as they are in the ground game.
Yeah. Well, we're going to see Kevin Harris for sure on Saturday, and I think everybody's anxious to see him and see what he can do coming off that 1,000-yard-plus season of a year ago. He's had some off-season health issues that have been addressed via surgery. Seems to be healthy, so might as well cut him loose and see what you've got. So Quandre White, of course, had the big game, and Juju McDowell can bring it as well with his speed. So they're loaded there at running back, and I think they're going to load up with the running game once again, but then see perhaps off play action if they can hit some balls deep. We'll get more on that from Chuck Reedy, the offensive side of things, when he joins us coming up. We'll be back after the break.
We've got Major Billy Downer with us here from the Department of Natural Resources. Major Downer, hunting season is upon us. How do we stay safe in a field?
There are 3 rules that every hunter should follow when they're hunting with a firearm. Number 1, treat every firearm due to respect a loaded gun. If you treat your firearm as if it's loaded, you'll always, number 2, keep that muzzle pointed in a safe direction. And number 3, when you decide to pull the trigger, make sure of your target, identify it, and know what's beyond it in case you miss.
And remember, life's better outdoors. Visit dnr.sc.gov for more.
Founders is offering a low-rate mortgage with up to $4,000 in closing costs to full-time hospital employees, honoring your frontline efforts against COVID-19. With no PMI, no origination fee, and no limit on the loan amount, you can't go wrong. Visit founders.com/HEC and apply for your hospital employee choice mortgage today. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply. Institution NMLS identifier number 410646. Founders is an equal housing lender and is federally insured by the NCUA.
Your home is where your memories live. It's where you laugh and where you love. We understand the importance of the valuables under your roof, tangible and intangible alike. So no matter what's around the corner, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for nearly 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at scfbins.com.
Call Buddy Bridges in Lawrence County at 864-923-2174, covering Lawrence, Clinton, Joanna, and the shores of Lake Greenwood.
Phone number here on Sports Talk. You're going to dial us up and join in on the program, 888-898-2525. That's the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number here on Sports Talk. Reminds you that since 2002, more than $2.2 billion in lottery proceeds have been used to fund life scholarships for the state's college-bound students. Learn more about the South Carolina Education Lottery's impact at seeducationlottery.com/education wins. Playing for fun is a win for education. Lines are open if you want to join us to talk about South Carolina and East Carolina. and what you think the Gamecocks must do and must do well to win that ball game, and how tough a ball game you think it might be. I think it's going to be a really tough ball game. Looking forward to. I've never been to a game at Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium. I've been to baseball games up there back when South Carolina was there for a regional, and I know how crazy their baseball fans were. They say the football fans, that crowd is even wilder. Of course, the 12 o'clock kickoff, I'm not so sure that doesn't always work in favor of the visiting team because,
Absolutely does.
It's a business trip for the visiting team to begin with, but this makes it even more of a business trip because you fly in Friday night, you go to your hotel, you get up, you go play ball, and you go home.
Nothing worse, Phil, and I know this just from sitting around with basketball teams, that I don't have to worry about actually playing the game, just going out to broadcast. But there is nothing worse than sitting in a hotel in a strange town for 7-8 hours on game day because you have nothing to do. It's not like you can go out and do something because the coaches want all the players to be off their feet. So a 7 o'clock road game plays into the hands of the home team. A 12 noon road game, though, is certainly in the hands of the Gamecocks here because, as you pointed out, they'll fly in tomorrow. They'll get hunkered down. They'll go probably have a walkthrough over to the stadium when they get there in Greenville, go to the hotel, go to bed, wake up, have pregame, and go play. I mean, that's the perfect scenario for a road team to get up and get going as early as they can.
All right, 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery. Lucky number here on Sports Talk. Let's go to Keith in Camden. Get some calls rolling tonight on this Thursday. Busy show for you, Keith. Welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
I'm doing great, Phil. How y'all doing tonight?
We are doing great. Keith. We're loving the NFL. We're loving the college football. Happy to be here.
Absolutely. I'm pulling for anybody that's playing the Cowboys. So, talking about the game Saturday, and I haven't heard where the coaches have come out and said who's starting and who's not, but do you have a little concern if Doty's ready? Going into that Georgia game, not getting any snaps, does that not seem a little concerning to you if he, even if he's 90%? What's you guys' thought on that?
Okay, I'm a little confused. Are you concerned about him being ready for Saturday or being ready for the Georgia game?
Well, what I'm concerned about is they've kind of hem-hawed. They're not saying, and I get it, but my concern is him going into the Georgia game without having any snaps. That is a concern. Even if they say he's 90%, play him this weekend some. I don't know what you gain going into that game blinded. To me, that's going to be a tough task no matter who's quarterbacking. But I don't know. I just get the sense as the kid hurt bad enough that he doesn't need to play any Saturday. If they said, what's going on with that? And I'll hang up and listen and enjoy the show, guys. Y'all have a great evening.
All right, thank you. Well, look, they don't want to put Doty out there unless he can protect himself, unless he's able to run around, escape the pressure, and because that's one of his strengths. Part of his game is his mobility. And if he's not able to run around like he normally would with his athleticism and his speed, then you're better off sitting him down and going with Nolan. If he is completely 100% healthy and not going to be risking unnecessary chance of injury because he's already hurt. He might get hurt again for another reason, but not because he was previously hurt and he was limited in his mobility and the ability to get away from the rush, Chris. He's got to be the one, all due respect to Zeb Nolan, who did a fine job in his appearance last week. Obviously the coaches feel like Doty is the best quarterback, gives him the best chance to win, or he wouldn't have been the number one guy all the way through camp and right up until, he got hurt, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, I would agree with that. And I think Luke Doty brings a different dynamic to the game that Zeb Nolan does not have. And we saw what happened, whether or not it was in the game plan or just by nature of the lack of help up front offensively, what happens when you have a stationary quarterback against the Georgia defensive front. DJ got knocked around because he could not escape, and they didn't allow him, evidently looking at the game plan, to allow him to escape. I don't know that you want Zeb Nolan going up head-to-head against that Georgia defensive front. However, to Keith's point, if Doty doesn't play this weekend, do you want to run Luke Doty out there his first game against a team, especially a defensive front line as good as Georgia's? I think Doty probably gives them, obviously, the best chance to beat Georgia if they can. But I just don't know that you want his first game to be at Georgia. I think, though, listening to the coaches and listening to Luke Doty talk on Tuesday, and you can hear his comments, and we'll get into some of that a little bit later on up on our website as well at SportsTalkSC.com. I think he believes he's going to play come Saturday. Now, whether or not that materializes, I guess we'll find out at 12 noon.
Well, as we saw last Saturday night, the one thing you don't want to be at quarterback against Georgia right now is immobile. And I mean, Uyangalele was a sitting duck, whether it was because he's not quick enough to get away from the pressure or Clemson's offensive line just had too many breakdowns. And Georgia brought a variety of blitzes, which they did blitz their linebacker some. Because Nakobe Dean was back there a good bit. But you do not want to be an immobile statue back there against that Georgia defensive front. You had better be able to move around. And I don't see Zeb Noland as a mobile quarterback. I see him as a guy that will take the heat, take the pressure, take the hit, and stand there in the pocket. But that's one thing against Eastern Illinois, a whole nother thing against even ECU or against Georgia coming up. Pat, you have some reflections, some memories of some fond moments at Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium?
Yeah, just hearing you guys mention a moment ago it being a noon kickoff, and yes, that typically favors the road team. At the very least, it kind of minimizes the effect of the home crowd advantage. But East Carolina is not your normal away team, and you guys have been hearing me say this for months now. Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium, I grew up, have a lot of family in Tarboro, as well as Rocky Mount, North Carolina, about 30, 40 miles from Greenville. And that stadium, even though it only holds 51,000 people, I would honestly compare it to LSU with their fan base, just that UCLA this past weekend, LSU lost there. But I saw all these reports coming out where the Rose Bowl actually sold out of alcohol after the first quarter because of all the LSU fans. That's East Carolina fans. I can tell you right now, they will be tailgating all night, Friday night. They will be getting ready very early that next morning. I don't think it matters whether it's at noon or if it's at 8 p.m. That stadium is going to be absolutely rocking on Saturday. And so I'm not sure how much of an advantage that's going to be for Carolina. I think they're in for quite an atmosphere up in East Carolina this weekend.
Well, they just, in the last couple of years, they just spent $60 million renovating that stadium. They added more seats. It used to seat about 39,000. Now it's a little over 50. It's got a nice bowl shape to it. They've put in the luxury suites and improved a lot of areas around that stadium. When we were there a few years ago and for that regional, they were just beginning the work on that. And I went for a little walk around in that area because I had plenty of time to kill because of the delays with the thunderstorms. And it's pretty impressive for that size school. Of course, East Carolina, enrollment-wise, if I'm not mistaken, I'm thinking they're the largest school in North Carolina in terms of enrollment. Just like what? In the state of Georgia State, I think, has the largest enrollment in Georgia. So, you get a little bit surprised about which schools have the greatest enrollment. Let's go to Vern in Bishopville before he goes to bed tonight. Vern, we got about a minute. How are you?
All right. How y'all Pennsylvania doing?
We're doing great. How are you?
Wait, what is doing so good Saturday night after that overlay usually we them boys will whip it up on him.
Yeah. What'd you think of that?
So what insurance to pay it up?
They have good insurance up there. Don't worry.
Oh yeah, I bet there is all that stuff they're selling on the side, that Candyman stuff. But anyway, that's not what I call.
I figured not.
No, I just call to see y'all keep talking about Mr. Doty this and Mr. Doty that and stuff. The way I see it, Carolina had a 4-year starting quarterback. He can do the same thing. Only thing he just do it better.
And who's that?
And that's the Carolina Johnner, the man of the hour, and the week and everything else.
Yeah.
He can do that too. He can do it better. You were saying something like he got good wide receiver. But you're supposed to have that. Everybody's supposed to have good wide receiver. I don't care how good the quarterback is. You need help.
That's true. You got to have good receivers on the other end. We'll see if Joyner can help out in that way. Thank you, Vern. Got to hit a break. We'll be back.
Are you worn out from wall-to-wall political talk? Instead of hearing more about the stuff in Washington that's mostly out of your control, I'll give you the tools to actually take control of your money and your life. Dave Ramsey here. Join me right here on The Point. I'm live and taking your calls weekdays at 2 p.m. I'll teach you how to get on a written plan that actually works, get out of debt, and build wealth. Weekdays at 2 p.m. The Dave Ramsey Show at 100.7 The Point.
Is that crack in your windshield or your house bothering you?
Have you been meaning to have it replaced but just can't find the time?
Call Absolute Glass, voted Lexington's best glass shop for 12 years in a row.
We repair and replace glass on all makes and models.
We're the only local high-end auto glass specialist in the Midlands, and we'll come to you to make the process quick and easy.
With new technologies and vehicles, we can recalibrate your vehicle back to new.
Visit AbsoluteGlassInc.com to learn more about our auto, home, and business glass services. Just remember, if you can see through it, we can do it.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The Transportation Security Administration is increasing the penalty for people who violate the mandate to wear masks on planes, trains, and other forms of transportation to help stop the spread of COVID-19. First-time offenders would face a potential fine of $500 to $1,000, and second offenders could face fines ranging from $1,000 to $3,000. The fine currently starts at $250. The Department of Homeland Security said the new fines would take effect Friday, and the requirement to wear masks on planes, buses, and other forms of transportation will remain in effect until at least January 18th. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 151 points, the Nasdaq dropped 38, the S&P down by 20, oil dropped $1.16 to $68.14 a barrel. SRN News.
So your home is your castle. I work hard all day. My reward is time at my home with my family, living comfortably. I don't want to worry for a moment about bugs and pests. I've had Palmetto Exterminators taking care of my home for 19 years. Now, that's a long time without worrying about pest control or infestation or termites, and that's because Palmetto Exterminators takes care of it all. Might not matter to some people, but you know what it does to me? They're family-owned. They've been doing this the right way for over 60 years. The staff is courteous. They're clean. They're totally professional. And you know, it's termite season. Palmetto Exterminators offers a free inspection. They'll customize the program to fit your needs and your family's budget. They offer a lifetime warranty with their termite agreement. Now, I speak from experience. Like I said, 19 years with the same company. I can't give a more glowing recommendation than the one I proudly give to Palmetto Exterminators. Online, palmettoexterminators.net, or call my guy, Ron Byers, 254-5833. That's 254-5833, Palmetto Exterminators.
People today, they could spend half their lives over 50. That's a lot of living. So it helps to have someone in your corner, right here in your community. That someone is AARP. Join us for free, fun, and informative virtual events like cooking demos, exercise classes, financial workshops, and more. It's never been easier to connect with your community. The younger you are, the more you need AARP. Learn more at aarp.org/near-you.
Hi, this is Michelle Arnold, your host for Travel Buzz, every Monday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on 100.7 The Point. We're here to make your travel dreams a reality. That's Travel Buzz every Monday morning at 9 on The Point.
Fran Halloran here. What am I looking for when I make a recommendation to you? I'm looking for integrity, ethics, intentionality. When it comes to your mortgage needs, Greg McCoy from Simplified Mortgage Solutions needs to be your only call. There are plenty of national mortgage companies with fancy names and fancy schemes out there. Don't be fooled. Simplified Mortgage Solutions will meet or beat any national lender's proposal. Greg is local, and I love local. Born and raised in the Midlands of South Carolina, Greg will treat you as if you are his only client as you go through the mortgage process. Simplified Mortgage Solutions specializes in conventional, VA, USDA, and FHA mortgages. They can do it all. I trust them, and so can you. I've worked with Greg for a while now, and everyone I've referred to him has thanked me after the fact. Online at simplifiedmortgagesc.com or just call Simplified Mortgage Solutions at 803-722-6044. That's 803-722-6044, and tell them the Money Coach sent you.
Keep fighting the spread. Wear your face mask. Stay 6 feet apart. And get vaccinated. Join us and fight the spread. Visit scdhec.gov/vaxfax.
Time for another edition of Chalk Talk here on Sports Talk. So happy to have with us once again Ellis Johnson and Chuck Reedy, two veteran football coaches, two men with an immense amount of football knowledge and knowledge about other things. Just ask them. Ellis, good evening, sir. Good to have you with us.
Good evening. How you guys doing?
We're great. Chuck, good evening. How are you, sir?
Doing great, Phil. Thank you.
We always thank you guys for being with us. Can't wait to hear what you have to say. So, Ellis, if my memory serves me right, I think one of your stops in coaching was at East Carolina back in the day. So you kind of have an idea of what the Gamecocks will be stepping into there at Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium. But they've come a long ways from your time back then. But generally speaking, the East Carolina football fan is pretty rabid, is he not?
They are. They really love the football, and baseball is popular over that way too. But the football stadium's grown a lot. The facilities improved. I mean, they've really done some things since I was there in the mid-'80s with Coach Baker. But they're still, in that level where they're sort of an underdog to play an SEC football team. So they'll have a little chip on their shoulder Saturday and hopefully, think they can pull off an upset. We did play Carolina once when I was there in Greenville. I was surprised that they came, but I think it was Coach Morrison was the coach. But they have played that before.
Yeah. Chuck, you're still wondering why the Gamecocks are playing this game up there.
Well, I am, but it is what it is, and like I said last week, I think this is a trap game for South Carolina. Mike Houston, I think, is a really, really good football coach, and this is his third year. I think they've got about 20 starters back. They didn't. I don't know how well they played against App, but they lost the game. But I think Carolina will really have to play well. Like Ellis said, I mean, it'll be, it's going to be a good crowd for them, and this is a game South Carolina's got to win, and they can't afford to go up there and not play their best.
Chuck, the Gamecocks did a lot of good things against a inferior opponent. Okay, 46 points, blocked a couple of punts, got a shutout on defense, ran the ball well. Quarterback kind of threw it well. Again, I know the opponent, but as a coach and as a program, you get that first win. Don't you take some good feeling from that when you go on the road now and gives you a little bit of confidence that you're doing some things the right way?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, as you said, we still don't know much about the football team per se, but we do know that Coach Beamer has generated a lot of excitement. The kids seem to, they seem to really enjoy playing for him, and they were having fun. A lot of things that we hadn't seen at South Carolina in the last few years, and so that's all real positive. And we'll find out a lot more Saturday, because we didn't find. I don't think we found out a whole lot about just how good the football team is. I think we found out a lot about the, as we talked about last week, the culture that Coach Beamer is trying to instill, and that's all very good and very positive.
Ellis, we learned something about Georgia. They got a heck of a defensive front, and man, they just poured the heat on Clemson up front. What did you see there last Saturday with what Georgia did to Clemson's offensive line? How much of that do you put on Georgia and credit them for great defensive players and a game plan, and maybe Clemson's offensive linemen whiffing a time or two in pass protection?
Yeah, well, you hit it all, every point in that brief question.
That's what I do.
Chuck and I mentioned the other day that we thought one of the big keys, and I think he had a better feel for the two offensive lines than I did. But when I look at it, I thought it would come down to whose offensive line was best. I did not know there would be that much domination. I think I don't know. Sometimes it's a chicken and the egg. It seemed to me that Clemson was a little bit worse than Georgia good at some point in time. But that is a very stout, mobile, physical front they've got, and they just dominated in both stopping the run and in pass rush. So, I mean, the defensive line to me was the whole key to the thing that happened to them. And I was surprised how lopsided the physical nature of it was, and the score could have been a lot worse.
Chuck, what did you see from Clemson's offense, the breakdowns, and what do you think? I mean, obviously they got South Carolina State Saturday, so you're not going to learn anything more about them there. And then they got Georgia Tech. Don't know if you learn anything more about them there, and on down through the putrid ACC. But what did you see with their issues on the offensive side?
Well, it's just what we said last week. They're going to have a hard time running the football against a good football team. The offensive line doesn't look to be much better than it was a year ago, and it wasn't very good last year. The big thing to me is Trevor Lawrence was another running back in the backfield. Ugalele, he's not going to be that. I mean, he's not real mobile. He's not real quick. He may be able to run in a straight line real fast. I don't know, but you don't have that opportunity very often, and so they're very limited there. And then I don't know that they have a real quality running back. I mean, Dabo's always sees the glass all full. And he thinks he's got 4 or 5 great running backs, but I didn't see that. And as I mentioned, it looks to me like they're going to try to go. It looks to me like Shipley's going to end up being the guy, but they've got a long way to go. And now what's going to happen? As you mentioned, I mean, they're going to go through the next 11 games. They're going to run for a bunch of yards. They're going to pass for a bunch of yards. They're going to score a lot of points. But where's it going to get them? They're on the outside looking in right now, and they're going to have a hard time getting back in the playoff picture, in my opinion, because they just have nobody on their schedule. Maybe NC State, I don't know. There's just nobody no game they've got on their schedule that is going to give them any credibility. And even the ACC took such a beating. They had 3 teams in the top 25. All of them got beat. Georgia Tech gets beat by Northern Illinois. Duke gets beat by Charlotte. I mean, there's just nothing there that's going to give them any credibility. I really think they don't control their own destiny, which is a bad place to be.
Yeah, they're going to need some help, that's for sure. I mean, they got to win out and then hope that obviously some of the teams ahead of them lose some games. Talking with Chuck Reedy, Ellis Johnson is Chalk Talk here on Sports Talk on this Thursday night. Ellis, from the Gamecock defensive standpoint, I mean, they pitched a shutout, so you're always happy as a defensive coordinator when you don't give up any points. And they had some guys make some big plays. They were physical. They outmanned the team they were playing, obviously. But technically, what did you see in that 4-2-5 alignment and how they handled that and how they handled their fundamentals in that game?
It looked to me, feel like they executed and played really well. I mean, it was good effort. I thought that I didn't see a lot of flaws in it. And I kind of said this back when we were talking about it. I think that system allows kids to make plays and maybe a little bit simpler in some aspects than the other complicated defenses. And, we know they didn't play good talent, but I just think that was a good look for South Carolina on both sides of the ball, but especially the defense. And they played with great enthusiasm throughout. When the game was under control, there wasn't any let up or distractions or, they seemed to be focused and they finished. And I just think it was a great start for them. And it was a lesser opponent, but they needed that first game. And I think they'll get a little bit more test this coming weekend, but I don't think we'll really know anything until they, go down and play Georgia and Kentucky and some of those guys, and then we'll find out.
Ellis, when you watched the South Carolina defense play, dovetailing off your comments about you thought they played very, very well against Eastern Illinois, Coach Beamer and his defensive staff said they had no loafs during that ball game, and that was a key point of emphasis for them. When you watched them play, did you see that on every play, 100% effort, everything you'd like to see out of a defensive unit?
Well, I didn't see the whole game. I was back and forth with other games, but I did see good effort. And I can't sit there and say there were no loafs. We used to keep those when I was there too, and we always found at least one somehow. But unless when you pitch the shutout, sometimes we charted them all and we gave them a freebie and didn't make them run them on Monday. But I just think they really looked good, and I don't think a lot of it was because of who they were playing. When you got great effort, you got great effort. And when you're flying around with the football and so forth, but I know the physicality of it, they still don't know who they are. But I do think they have had a good start on defense, and I think it's going to be a pretty good season for them on that side of the ball.
Coach Reedy, we've been debating this for the past couple of days. I'm sure you've had a situation where you had a quarterback who was injured, wondering when you could get him back into the fold. If you're South Carolina, do you need Luke Doty to play this weekend if he is indeed your starting quarterback moving forward, just so he's ready for Georgia? Would you take that risk and that challenge to put him out there and get him at least a little game experience this year before you face a defense as good as Georgia, or would you make sure he's 100% to go regardless of who the opponent might be next week?
Well, if he's 100% and he's the best they've got, then he better play, because they better not be looking ahead to Georgia. But
exactly.
I think there used to be, back when Ellis and I were coaching way back, there was kind of an unwritten rule that a starter didn't lose his job because of injury, and if he got hurt, when he came back, he had his job back. But I'm not sure. I get the word that they're probably going to start Zeb, but I'm sure that if he does start, if Doty is healthy, they better get Doty in there, and they will, I'm sure, get him and get him as many snaps as they can, before they go to Georgia, and even, just the best. Yeah, if he's the best, if he's going to be the starting quarterback, they better play him.
Mm-hmm. Chuck, what did you think of Zeb Nolan Saturday?
Well, I thought he was very efficient. Obviously he understood what he was doing. He is what he is. I mean, there's a reason why he's, where he is and all of those things. But, obviously he executed their offense. He got it to the right guys, threw 4 touchdown passes. I mean, those are, there's a lot of good things to be said for it. But again, unless he is the guy they think, can beat Kentucky and beat some of the other guys they're going to have to beat on their schedule in order to get to 6 or 7 wins, they better, I would think they would go with the guy that, that they think is the best. And apparently that was Doty.
Yeah. And you look at their running backs. Marshawn Lloyd got his first chance to play, and he had some high marks. And, of course, White was excellent. And the Kevin Harris is coming back this week, and they got the freshman McDowell, about as deep a running back room that we've seen at South Carolina in a number of years, I would say. And you would think that they would lean on that moving forward here, at least until the quarterback situation settles down.
Well, they have to, and but that's the most talented position, probably on their team, and certainly depth-wise, it is. And they definitely have to do that. The one thing, they still, and this is what's going to haunt them all year. They just don't have a playmaker at wide receiver. Mm-hmm. And I mean, you go back and even look at the numbers. There's just nobody that stands out. That can catch the ball and make plays with the football, or get the ball down, make or stretch the ball down the field. And that's what's going to be hard for them, because when they play good people, people, they're not going to, good defenses are not going to let them run the ball. I mean, they're going to make them show that they can throw the ball, and they're going to make them prove they can throw it down the field. And I think that's where they're going to struggle.
All right, last thing, we'll let both of you go. Ellis, you get much of a look at Alabama on Saturday against Miami? If so, what'd you think? Same thing with you, Chuck. Ellis, you first.
Saw a little bit more than half of it, and I don't know that Miami's a real top-notch team, but they've certainly got talent. They had some speed out there, and just that first game, I think they looked awfully good. And said Saban was not all that pleased with the way they finished, but I just thought they were dominant. And the quarterback was really good. And of course, they protected him well, and they could run the football. But defensively, they're better than they were. I think they were kind of young last year, and they're not making as many bad mistakes on that side of the ball, and they're talented. So I don't know. I don't know how you put anybody else in front of them right now. It's certainly preseason number one. I think they look like the best team in the country to me.
Yeah. Chuck, what do you think?
No, I totally agree with that. I mean, I think Alabama, Georgia, I mean, if you look at the schedules, the SEC, it appears, is not as strong top all the way through. You've got the really good teams at the top, Alabama and Georgia, and then you've got the wannabes, Florida, Texas A&M maybe, or Texas A&M, but below that, I mean, LSU got beat. We don't know about Auburn. There's not, top to bottom doesn't look to be as strong. So it's very conceivable Alabama and Georgia could both run the table. And if they do, obviously both of them, they're both in. So that's 2 playoff spots taken up right there.
Ellis, what you cooking up on the grill this weekend while you're watching football?
No grill. This move is just about. I can't get my grill hooked up. I just got my TV today, guys. So next time I'll have a little more football knowledge. But this has been a bad one.
Out of how many? This is move number what?
I'd say it's number 18, but I'm not sure. Maybe it's number 23.
Let's hope it's number last for you.
I'm going back to the beach field, so they won't be the last one unless they have to carry me out of here in the hearse.
Okay. and Chuck, which one of your mansions will you be sitting back in and watching football this weekend?
No, we're in Charleston. We're going to be here for a couple of weeks.
Well, let's give a plug to Comeback Shack. Great place right there on 52 down near Charleston Southern, and one over in Mount Pleasant. I want to tell people, great place to go and eat burgers, salads. It's delish.
We appreciate that. Yeah, we appreciate it. Everything's going well.
Good.
We can get people to work. Just nobody wants to work anymore.
I know. Isn't that funny? Hire Ellis. Ellis needs a job. Let him be your greeter.
We can't afford Ellis. We can't afford Ellis.
It's getting hard for me to understand the name of it being the Comeback Shack because we've never been invited for the first time. I would have come back if we've never been there.
I tell you what, I'm going to take you. I'm going to take you, and Ellis and Chuck's going to pay for it. How about that? All right.
Yeah, I will. Y'all come on. I'll pay for it.
Hey, thank you guys as always. Have a great football weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Phil.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, fellas.
All right, there you go. Chuck Reedy, Ellis Johnson. I see them, sailing off into the sunset together. 2 outstanding football coaches, great minds for the game, and a great feel for the personalities of the game, the coaches, the players, and what looks good, what doesn't look good. So we appreciate them being with us every Thursday to help break it down. We'll come back with a recruiting report for you on this Thursday night. Details of that new Gamecock commitment coming up after the break.
In Columbia, South Carolina, game days are our specialty. Whether you're watching the game from inside the stadium or from the big screen at your favorite local spot, the energy remains the same. Craft the perfect fall Saturday in a city where there is plenty of action on and off the field. From tubing and kayaking to Soda City to rooftop restaurants and plenty barbecue. We're ready when you are. Plan your weekend at ExperienceColumbiaSC.com.
Hey, folks, mortgage rates have dipped to their lowest levels in recent history. And with home values up in many areas, now may be the perfect time to refinance your home. Whether you're looking to lower your monthly payments, free up cash for home improvements, or just pay off your home faster, a quick call to the one and only Stuart Wingo of Ameris Bank could save you money. If you're looking for competitive rates and exceptional service, call Stuart Wingo. 803-319-1777. That's 803-319-1777. You will save money just like I have so many times over the years. You can also visit him, amerisbank.com/ Stuart Wingo. Stuart Wingo, the man with the plan for all your mortgage needs.
The future of golf is waiting for you at the Players Club. Rain, shine, or after dark, you can enjoy the game of golf anytime at Columbia's Indoor Country Club. The Players Club delivers the most realistic golf experience and offers more than 90 championship courses. Play or practice with the same state-of-the-art full-swing simulators used by Tiger Woods and Jordan Spieth. Visit MainCourseSC.com to book a bay and become a player today at the Players Club, part of the Main Course, 1626 Main Street in Columbia.
If you are pregnant, DHEC and the CDC strongly recommend the COVID-19 vaccine. The dangers of the Delta variant, increased risk of severe illness and pregnancy complications are too great to ignore. Pregnant women with COVID-19 are at greater risk for hospitalization and for critical care, including ventilation and admission to the ICU. Pregnant women with COVID-19 are more likely to have major pregnancy complications. Visit scdhec.gov/vaxlocator to find a vaccine near you to protect your unborn baby and yourself.
All right, recruiting on a Thursday night brought to you by Seawell's, very best in the catering business, of course. Is now, has been for over 70 years, the good folks at Seawell's planning that special event, whether it's a wedding reception or a birthday party or corporate outing, an awards banquet, a business luncheon. You want to make sure you call Seawell's first, 803-771-7385. And what's tomorrow, Chris? What is tomorrow?
It's Roast Beef Friday at Seawell's.
Roast Beef
RBF.
Friday. I'll be on my way to Greenville, North Carolina, so I'll have to pass. But I'll get it next week. That's my plan. Big Roast Beef Friday tomorrow. You don't want to miss that. 11 to 2, the luncheon buffet. Outstanding. On Rosewood Drive, that is Seawell. So the Gamecocks got the commitment today from Brian Thomas Jr., 6'2", 215, Winter Garden, Florida. Dad played in the NFL, and he's going to play for another NFL vet. And that was important in his decision, playing for Mike Peterson, a 14-year veteran, because he wants to learn from the best. His thinking is you played in the NFL that long, that means you were among the best and you know how to teach the game. So he was excited about that. They like the fact that he's versatile, can get to the passer. And he took an official visit to USC this past weekend. First time on the USC campus, took in the ball game against Eastern Illinois, rated a 3-star by 24/7, and the number 48 edge rusher nationally, coming off a season of 11 quarterback sacks. He's the 17th commitment for the 22 class, which has been ranked 22nd nationally, 24/7 Sports Composite. Prior to this commitment, if you would, Chris, take a look and tell me where, after I'm done, tell us where the Gamecocks are now in that ranking. I did not have a chance to look that up.
24/7 Sports, you say?
Yes, sir. Tight end Oscar Delp of Cumming, Georgia, had been looking at September 30th, his mom's birthday, as a potential date for making his announcement. He's made some changes, so it's not going to happen on that date. Clemson, USC, Georgia, Michigan remain in the hunt. He was in Charlotte to watch Clemson, Georgia. Said it was awesome, like what both teams did with the tight end. Both got the football to the tight end. And he'll see Clemson again Saturday. Tigers taking on SC State. He says Clemson remains on him very strongly, telling him he's the guy that they want. He says they are recruiting him like they always have. He's looking forward to being there. He doesn't remember the last time he was at Clemson for a game. It hasn't been recently. Been talking with Sweeney, Elliott, and Streeter. And they just tell him about the history of winning and developing players, telling him there's no place like Clemson. Next up will be Georgia for the USC game on the 18th. Then, after a weekend trip with the family, not related to football recruiting, he'll be in to see the Gamecocks October 2nd for their game with Troy. So as it works out, he'll see the 3 finalists play twice before his decision, at least those 3 finalists, not counting Michigan. He might be able to take a trip up to Michigan for a game as well. He said the Gamecocks, like Clemson, are on him very strongly. The fan base has let him know that they want him badly as well. And he watched the USC Eastern Illinois game and liked how the Gamecocks got the ball to the tight ends. Okay, we got a little bit more after the break.
By the way, before we do what's supposed to happen here, thank you for pushing the button. I thank you. Programming thanks you. America thanks you.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters. President Biden has announced new wide-reaching vaccine requirements affecting as many as 100 million Americans. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
Rolling out a new strategy to combat the coronavirus pandemic, the president did not hide his frustration with the 80 million eligible Americans who have not yet been vaccinated.
We've been patient, but our patience is wearing thin, and your refusal has cost all of us.
In addition to mandating vaccinations for federal workers and contractors, the president's plan will require businesses with 100 or more employees to have their workers vaccinated or tested every week. Greg Clugston, Washington.
The Justice Department on Thursday sued Texas over a new state law that bans most abortions, arguing that it was enacted, quote, in open defiance of the Constitution, unquote. Kimberlyn Schwartz of Texas Right to Life tells Salem Radio News the media reaction was slow in coming, especially since it was debated in the Texas legislature, but the onslaught against SB 8 since it was signed into law has been unrelenting.
All of a sudden, like days before it was supposed to take effect, and it did take effect, that's when the media woke up and realized that we actually had a real strategy here and a real plan to enforce this law when other states have not been able to enforce their Heartbeat Act. Texas is the first state, with the help of Texas Right to Life, of being able to enforce a ban on abortions when the baby's heartbeat is detectable.
The Transportation Security Administration is increasing the penalty for people who violate the mandate to wear masks on planes, trains, and other forms of transportation to help stop the spread of COVID-19. First-time offenders will face a potential fine of $500 to $1,000. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 151 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Excuse me, why don't you have life insurance yet?
I've got diabetes, and I know the price will be through the roof for the pre-existing condition.
Well, actually, SelectQuote makes it easy to get very affordable life insurance, even if you have a health issue.
I'm listening.
You'll get quotes from some of the country's most trusted carriers. Even with your diabetes, you can get around $250,000 in insurance for as little as $1 a day.
That would be amazing. What's it called again?
SelectQuote. Just call or go to SelectQuote.com to get your free quote. Get the coverage you need at a price you can afford. Call 1-800-694-1010 or go to SelectQuote.com today. That's 1-800-694-1010 or SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Get full details on example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Monthly premiums vary based on health, company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Senator Marco Rubio is blasting the CIA over reports it's considering a social media presence on TikTok. Bob Agnew reports.
In a world of emerging online security threats, Chinese-owned TikTok is seen by many as a major threat given its ties to China and therefore the Chinese Communist Party. After a CIA spokesman told Politico the agency was considering a social media presence of its own on TikTok, Senator Rubio sent a letter asking Director William Burns to, quote, commit that the CIA will not join TikTok or any other social media platform that poses a serious threat to U.S. national security. Senator Rubio serves as vice chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee. Bob Agnew reporting.
Amazon says it will pay the full college tuition for hourly workers starting next year as competition to hire or retain those workers gets fierce. Other companies, including Walmart and Target, have recently started to pay for college or boost their existing programs. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters in Washington.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Clearing and cooler this evening with a low dropping to 62. Tomorrow, just wonderful. Sunshine, a low humidity, and a high of 83. Beautiful weekend for us also with sunny skies, low humidity, temperatures in the mid to upper 80s. No rain from tomorrow all the way through the middle of next week. I'm Kevin Cohen with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. This is The Point. Make thepointradio.com.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
All right, we're back with you on a Thursday night. Good to have you along for the ride. Phil Kornblut, Pat Daniel, Chris Bergen, all together. Just a moment, Scott Powers from Experience Columbia SC Sports will be joining us. Want to wrap up the recruiting report. Had a few more notes to get to as we were telling you about the Gamecocks and the commitment that they got earlier today from defensive end Brian Thomas. And we also told you about Oscar Delp and the latest with him. So USC offered overnight several prospects in the 23-24 classes. 23 receiver Caden Lee, 6 feet, 180 from Atlanta, a 4-star, number 33 nationally in his class. 2023 defensive tackle Stephayian Green. Now, this is one of the stranger names I've ever seen. Stephayian, S-T-E-P-H-I-Y. No, let me back that up. S-T-E-P-H-L-Y. No, S-T-E-P-H-I-Y-L-A-N. I can't.
Stephilian. I bet.
Is that what it is?
Stephilian.
Stephilian.
It may very well be. Either way, you hit it on the head. That is a odd name.
Stephilian.
Sure.
Yeah, I think you're right. Stephilian Green. 6'3", 268, Rome, Georgia. Georgia, Virginia Tech has also have offered. 2023 defensive end Damon Wilson, could be Damon. 6'4", 230 out of Venice, Florida. 4-star, number 6 edge rusher nationally. Clemson also has offered him. 2024 receiver defensive back Zion Reagans, 5'9", 150. Gray, Georgia, 4-star, number 11 receiver nationally in his class. USC target 23 quarterback Dylan Lonergan. Snellville, Georgia will be at Ohio State this weekend. 23 linebacker Troy Ford of Savannah plans to be at Clemson Saturday. 23 defensive back Brandon Sisse of Lakewood plans to be at Virginia Tech Saturday. Basketball, North Carolina coaches were in to see 2023 G.G. Jackson of Ridgeview today, and North Carolina assistant Jeff Lebo. It has slipped past me that Jeff Lebo had joined Hubert Davis's staff there at North Carolina, but he was at Lexington today to check in on 24 standout Cam Scott as basketball coaches are getting on the road and seeing guys in person. There you go with the recruiting report tonight, brought to you by Seawells. Let's welcome in Scott Powers, Executive Director, Experience Columbia SC Sports.com. And good to have you back with us once again, sir. How are you?
I'm good, Phil. For a second there, I thought I had dialed into a spelling contest or spelling bee.
Well, somebody who would have failed at spelling. Sometimes I can't tell my I's from my L's, especially in typing. And anyway, that name was a mouthful. It's good to have you with us. And I know you're happy to have full stadiums and sports activities and outdoor activities back going on right here in the Columbia area, in the center of the state. You guys got a lot of stuff going on.
We do. We are. I mean, last year, it was a tough year for a lot of people, especially small businesses around the Columbia area, around the state of South Carolina. I think everybody realizes that tourism plays an important part in the state of South Carolina. And I think a lot of people just assume that, Myrtle Beach or Charleston or Hilton Head is where all the tourism is. But we do a fairly significant amount of tourism here, and that supports the locally owned businesses, the mom and pop restaurants. Most of the hotels in town are locally owned. Their owners are in town. That's why we're here. We're here to give back to those organizations and to be able to bring in events and help drive traffic and new business to those businesses are why we're in town. And Gamecock football, I think everybody knows, is a multi-million-dollar economic impact generator for the Columbia area. And I think everybody knows that we were a little lost without it last year, from an economic standpoint, not to mention from a passion standpoint. So we're thrilled to have the Gamecocks back in Williams-Brice this year.
Oh, I imagine, especially a night game. Night games always mean more tourism and more dollars for the city, doesn't it?
Yes. Night games and day games are a little different. They both do generate impact. Day games, you'll have people coming in early, and then night games, you usually have people staying over Saturday night. So, so it's both are great, but Saturday night games, I think everybody loves to go out after the game, especially after a Gamecock win, do a little bit of tailgating, and just take a 15-minute ride back to the hotel instead of driving a couple hours back to wherever their home is. So we do enjoy having those people in town. And when you look at hotel occupancy and what they're able to charge people, football weekends do make a difference.
Sure.
Scott Powers, the executive director of the Experience Columbia SC Sports, joining us tonight here on Sports Talk. And Scott, it's clear to see that Gamecock football generates a lot of revenue for sports tourism in Columbia. Though, that being said, the NCAA tournaments that USC has hosted over the years, in particular baseball regionals and the NCAA men's basketball tournament that was in Columbia a few years ago, how big of an impact do those events themselves have in Columbia? And how would you guys like to maybe get a few more of those, if possible, moving forward?
Yeah, we got spoiled a little bit back when Coach Tanner was here, and the baseball team was hosting regionals and super regionals, seemed like every year. And we were able to have those long weekends where people were able to come in for 4 days. Those meant a lot to us. And I think when they were gone, people realized what we had missed. Not just, I'm a baseball guy, and so I'm always passionate about baseball. But I think even from an economic standpoint, we realized how much we had missed. But even, and Coach Staley and what she's done with women's basketball, people will say, well, 90% of the crowd were Gamecock fans. That may be true, but there's Gamecock fans all over the state of South Carolina and all over the Southeast. There's plenty of people in the Charlotte area that love Gamecock women's basketball and what Coach Staley's doing there. So them coming into town, whether they're spending the night or not, they're spending money in Columbia, in Casey, in West Columbia, Irmo, and all of those communities do enjoy those tax benefits from those people that are coming into town.
Columbia has been such a really good minor league baseball city as well. And with the new ballpark for the Fireflies, I know you can't kind of rely on them being good year in and year out, but what kind of impact do they have in terms of sports tourism on the city of Columbia?
They do. One thing it does do is when we're hosting other groups, that's another entertainment value that we can take a client out, or when somebody's coming into town for something else, that's another option for them to do. You know, you got the zoo and you got the museums, but we missed having that minor league baseball game during the summers. That, you know, people that were coming into town, not just season ticket holders, it was another opportunity for people to get out. And after this past year, I think everybody loved being able to get out more this summer and enjoy those games. But it does bring in, you know, half of the games they play are bring in teams from out of town. And, you know, a lot of those teams do have parents that are, you know, the Southeast is so big for baseball. You know, when you're a Class A team, your first year players, a lot of them have played in the SEC or highly regarded 18-year-olds. So those families are used to traveling around, seeing those players, and anything that brings people into town is definitely a benefit for the Columbia area.
Visiting with Scott Powers from Columbia SC Sports. So what big things do you have in the back of your mind on the on the table that you're working on, planning for? I imagine another run next time it's up for bids, another run at an NCAA men's basketball tournament regional to start?
Yes. That's we're probably looking at 3 years out, that they will do another bid process for 4 years. What our hope is in that 3-year time is the state of South Carolina, along with Richland County and the city of Columbia, vote to expand the convention center. Because if the convention center is expanded, they already have a developer who's willing to build 3 hotels right behind the convention center. So we are missing, it's the Hilton, and we have a lot of great full service properties. I think most people don't realize how much a men's or a women's basketball team needs facilities for a hotel. They need food. They need 3 meeting rooms. Most of the hotels that we have in Columbia don't have any meeting rooms, or they have a boardroom. So it's been a long time since the Hilton opened in the Vista. And that's the last time we've opened a full service hotel. So we've got a lot of catching up to do with the Greenvilles and the Raleighs and Greensboros if we want to beat them out to be able to host next time. So hopefully all that moves forward. It's hard when, we'd love to have $11 million of economic impact, every 4 years. Something like that would be fantastic for the city of Columbia. And Columbia is enough of a basketball town, and people love basketball around here for a long time. It just makes sense with the arena that we have, with all of the other facilities and restaurants, hotels, with, that we're able to bring in. I think we sold the most number of tickets last time. We sold like 45,000 tickets for the games that we hosted here. People loved being here, and the vast majority of those people that we heard from had never been to Columbia before, had never been to South Carolina before. And that's what we love to do is bringing in those fans from Virginia that ended up winning the national championship that had never been here before. So we enjoy hosting new people, showing off, what we have. We've always hovered around about 75% of the time. If we have a client that's making a decision on a convention, a conference, a sporting event, if they visit Columbia before they decide, 75% of the time they choose Columbia. It's the people that we can't get into town to ever get a look of what we have going on here. That is hard to sell. People are so visual. So when we get people into town and we're able to take them around and show them all that we have around here, people love it.
My last thing, we'll let you go, and I don't want to put you on the spot here, or put you in a corner concerning previous Gamecock football coaches per se. But with Shane Beamer's personality, his enthusiasm, his youth, his approach, his internet savvy, his Twitter savviness, and all that, and his his ability to go on Twitter and do stuff. Among the football coaches you've seen come through South Carolina during your time, through USC during your time, can he be? Even you had a guy like Spurrier, but Spurrier, his national acclaim brought him attention. I'm not so sure he loved being a guy out front as a spokesperson a whole lot, but Beamer seems to crave that kind of stuff. Is he going to be, especially if they win, of course, how big an asset to the city for promoting Columbia, the university, and pumping things up here? How big can he be in that role?
I think the sky's the limit, to be honest. I mean, that does not necessarily translate into wins on the field.
Right.
I'm a South Carolina grad. I promote Columbia all the time. So nobody, I'm a little jaded, but he has been so much a breath of fresh air. When I started here, Sparky Woods was here, and, it went from there. And I'm not going to get personal with the coaches that we've had.
Right.
But you guys have a job to do. And when somebody, sees that and is willing to offer up not just canned answers for y'all, you write more about them. That gives more publicity about the team. And then when you go on the Gamecock Club tours and you do all that and you could talk to the fans and you want to be here, I think everybody knows and they can see through the people who were just talking coach speak. And I think everybody can see the love for that Coach Beamer has for this state, this area, and how much he enjoys being here. And I think that comes through, and I hope that ends up working out to wins and losses.
Yeah. Well, he's done everything right behind the scenes, saying the right things, doing the right things, pushing the right buttons. But, yeah, we all know that the shelf life of a coach hinges on W's and not slogans, okay? We all know that. Hey, it's great talking to you. Appreciate it very much. Always here for you when you've got something you want to announce or promote. That's great for the Midlands and the city of Columbia and the state of South Carolina because, let's face it, it's the capital city, and what's good for Columbia is good for the state.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on. We
Always.
appreciate you guys.
Always, Scott. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Scott.
All right, Scott Powers, Executive Director, Experienced Columbia SC Sports. I mean, Columbia is one of those. Look, Charleston is Charleston. You know, Charleston's another country. Charleston's like going to, Paris to me. It's like leaving the country, right? And now Greenville has done a marvelous job of rebuilding its downtown and making it a sexy, sexy place to go. And Columbia's got a ways to go. But Columbia has a lot to offer with the university and with the state capitol and with the downtown that's going through a lot of refurbishment. And let's face it, I mean, the city planners of Columbia, when they planned it to be a city that, it was set up in a grid, very plain blocks. You go to Greenville, you go downtown, you got a lot of curvy streets. And, of course, Charleston has all the historical buildings and the type of streets they have going through there. Columbia was set out pretty plainly because that's just the kind of city it was back then. So they have to dress it up and they have to keep beautifying it and they need to update the architecture on these buildings and make them more modern looking. You drive through downtown Greenville at night. I mean, it's awe-inspiring the way downtown Greenville looks with the different lights on the buildings and the different architecture that they have. And
there's no city
it's a beautiful sight.
State. Excuse me. There's no city in our state that has done a better job of reinventing itself than Greenville has. Their downtown is phenomenal.
Well, no, hey, you haven't been through Latta recently, obviously. So when you,
I said city, not town.
Well, city, town, township. I mean, what do you want? I listen. You can go
stoplights.
You can get. You can get through. You can go to Coastal tomorrow. You can go through Latta. Take a look for yourself.
You realize Florence to Conway that the pathway does not necessarily go through Dillon County.
No, it doesn't. You have to make a left at the Y there. When you get to the 76 301 split, just go left on 301. You know it well.
Oh, I know. I know how. I could go there. By the way, quick update from Shane Beamer's radio show tonight. He said Kevin Harris is full go. He'll play the full game based on rotation. Also, Luke Doty said the biggest thing, feeling 100%, do what he needs to do if needed. Matter of him being well enough to feel comfortable to put him in the game.
All right, very good. We'll be back. We'll go around the horn, shall we? A little baseball talk. And Jeff Farrington from North Greenville coming up as well. We'll hear some from Luke Doty and James Skowski coming up.
The Southeastern Institute of Manufacturing and Technology, known as SIMT, is ready to meet your 3D printing, machining, and social media listening needs. Our list of clients includes business and industrial partners from around the state, the nation, and the globe. In addition, we are providing social media listening services to a variety of businesses and educational institutions, from large companies to law firms to small rural school districts. The SIMT also rents space for training, conferences, and trade shows. Catering services are available for events being held at the SIMT. We are dedicated to customer service and look forward to serving you. Check us out on the web at simt.com to see a full list of our manufacturing services, or give us a call at 843-413-2740.
Save like a pro with Founders Federal Credit Union. Founders Loyalty Select account gives you the opportunity to grow your savings at our best rate yet. Fund your account through your favorite Loyalty Select product to get savings today. Not a member yet? Visit relaxjoinfounders.com or one of our more than 30 office locations to see if you qualify for membership. Services require credit evaluation. Terms and conditions apply. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA.
We understand how important it is to have transportation you can rely on. So no matter what the road ahead brings, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for nearly 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at scfbins.com.
In Irma, call me, Alex Satterfield, at 803-749-9171.
All right, thanks again to Scott Powers for being with us here tonight on Sports Talk. Let's take it around the horn. Let's have a 4-6-3. That's not around the horn. Let's take it around the horn. Let's have a 5-4-3.
There we go.
Double play.
Nice twin killing there and around the horn presented by Farm Bureau Insurance. Spoke with Alex Satterfield earlier today in Columbia. Alex is about to be a brand new daddy next week. So we wish
nice.
The Satterfields all the best. They've got a baby girl coming. So I told Alex, I said, that's the first of your softball team, huh? And so he's really, really excited. Said things are going well, both with mommy and soon-to-be mommy and soon-to-be baby as well. But you can get in touch with Alex. Give him some time. He's probably not working next week. Due date is next Monday. So my guess is he's probably not going to be doing a whole lot of insurance sales. But nonetheless, keep him on the tip of your tongue when you when he comes back at 803-749-9171. Meantime, Buddy Bridges up in Lawrence County, he can handle things for you in the upstate. Give Buddy a call at 864-923-2174. Fascinating story, and Phil, you'll love this since it's disparaging of the Boston Red Sox. Major League Baseball today evidently refuting Boston Red Sox outfielder Hunter Renfroe's allegation that the league told the team to stop testing for COVID-19 amid the outbreak spreading throughout the team's clubhouse. Renfroe said earlier today on WEEI's Merloni and Faria show that MLB basically told us to stop the testing and just treat the symptoms. And we were like, no, we're going to figure out what's going on and keep trying to get this thing under control. The host of the show followed up and asked whether Major League Baseball had asked the Red Sox to stop testing. Renfroe said yes, went on to say, and just so to try to play, move on, and don't worry about it, he was asked, and Renfroe again said yes. Renfroe is completely wrong and inaccurate, according to a league spokesperson to the Boston Globe. The Red Sox also refuting Renfroe's comments. We have been following Major League Baseball's COVID-19 protocols all season long, the team said in a statement. We have consulted closely with them on everything we've done and continue to test, and their medical staff has been very supportive. But Phil, if you're Major League Baseball and you have one of your teams with a serious issue with COVID-19 right now as we head down the stretch towards the playoffs, again, the cynic in me, why wouldn't Major League Baseball say, you know what, stop testing. We need you guys out on the field.
Mm-hmm. I hear what you're saying. Best not to know, right?
Exactly. Let's play dumb, and no news is good news in that regard. So I don't know that I dispute what Hunter Renfroe is saying. Major League Baseball has to, but I don't know that he's wrong in that regard. Meantime, Major League Baseball going on this evening. Cleveland in the top of the fifth. They lead Minnesota by a score of 3-1. The Mets out in front of Miami. That game in the top of the third down in South Florida. Mets 1, Marlins 0. Top half of the second inning, Philadelphia leads Colorado 1-0. Kansas City, same lead on Baltimore. That game also in the second inning. Meantime, Toronto out in front of the Yankees as the Yankees come to bat in the bottom of the first. It is 1-0 Blue Jays. Washington and Atlanta.
Boy, when it goes bad, it just goes bad. I'm sorry.
Washington and Atlanta getting started, and the Nationals have already taken a 1-0 lead, and they threaten with runners at second and third and just one out in the first. And let's see, coming up to finals from earlier today, St. Louis beat the Dodgers 2-1, and the White Sox fell to Oakland 3-1. And that's our Track Around the Horn tonight, presented by Farm Bureau Insurance.
All right, a lot of good football coming up this weekend involving state teams. I really like this North Greenville at Newberry game. I think that's going to be an excellent matchup. We'll hear from Coach Jeff Farrington of the Crusaders. That's next here on Sports Talk.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Clearing and cooler this evening with a low dropping to 62. Tomorrow, just wonderful. Sunshine, a low humidity, and a high of 83. Beautiful weekend for us also with sunny skies, low humidity, temperatures in the mid to upper 80s. No rain from tomorrow all the way through the middle of next week. I'm Kevin Cohen with your On Point local weather.
Hello, fondue fans. It's Jay from the Melting Pot. Well, you don't have to be a fondue fan to be a fan of the Melting Pot, but it sure helps. By the way, who eats melted cheese when it's 106 degrees outside anyway? And thank you for eating melted cheese and warm chocolate, by the way. The reality is special occasions don't end when it's summertime. Birthdays, anniversaries, end of summer, back to school celebrations, you name it. We celebrate it with you. So come and see us at 1410 Colonial Life Boulevard, the Melting Pot.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The United States has a message for the Taliban. If it lives up to all its commitments, brings greater stability to Afghanistan and the region, demonstrates widespread inclusion, and protects the gains of the last 20 years, we'll work with it. But U.S. Deputy Ambassador Jeffrey De Laurentiis, who delivered the message at a UN Security Council meeting, stressed that any legitimacy and support will have to be earned. De Laurentiis told the Council that following the U.S. withdrawal and the Taliban takeover, Afghanistan needs the United Nations and the UN political mission in the country more than ever. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 151 points, the Nasdaq dropped 38, the S&P 500 lower by 20, crude oil down $1.16 to $68.14 a barrel. More details at srnnews.com.
Find yourself.
Football is back. And this year, the Citadel is trying to be top dog.
Get in here! I got one thing to say. This is when the big dogs come out. Okay? You can't run with the big dogs. Stay on the ball.
Touchdown, Bulldogs! Fire those cannons. The Bulldogs are back.
The Citadel Bulldogs, all season long on 100.7 The Point.
Every Friday morning at 9 a.m. on The Point, join me, Chad Jordan, and my co-host Larry Jordan for the Palmetto Real Estate Pros. We'll help you out whether you're looking to buy, sell, or just learn all things real estate every Friday right here at 100.7 The Point.
Dave Ramsey here. Do you want your money to work for you rather than you working for your money? Go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank and have been serving the Midlands since 1936, offering good old-fashioned customer service and free services. They'll look out for your financial well-being. With 14 locations, check them out today at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
What's this truck pulling up in our driveway?
It's the folks from Dominion Energy. They're here to recycle our old fridge in the garage.
Why?
Because it's just sitting there wasting energy and we can use the extra space, not to mention the extra cash.
Extra cash?
Yes, we get $50 cash and pickup is free.
Sounds too good to be true.
See for yourself at DominionEnergySC.com.
Where?
DominionEnergySC.com.
Certain restrictions apply.
You ever notice there's a lot of foundation repair companies in the Midlands? Well, I asked my guys at TerraTech about this. Seems like 80% of the homes end up with foundation issues in the Midlands. It's just the soil around here. So how do you pick the right foundation company if you think you're having an issue? I always start by thinking local. I mean, think local always. Your home is your biggest financial investment. You want someone who's been here a while and isn't going anywhere for a while, and that's TerraTech. They're family-owned, they're AAA approved by the Better Business Bureau, and they are 100% local. They use the highest quality products and they stand behind their work. And I'm not into scare tactics, no way. But goodness, this is your home. I mean, it's your castle. Walk around it, take a look. If you see cracks in the foundation, just call TerraTech. They'll come out for free. No cost, no obligation. They'll tell you honestly if you have a problem or not. You can trust TerraTech to repair your home. You know I wouldn't say it if I didn't mean it. Online, it's TerraTechInc.com or call them 791-8888. That's 791-8888 or online at TerraTechInc.com.
Hi, this is Michelle Arnold, your host for Travel Buzz, every Monday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on 100.7 The Point. We're here to make your travel dreams a reality. That's Travel Buzz every Monday morning at 9 on The Point.
We are back here on Sports Talk Media Network. Tomorrow night, got to throw a little tease out to you. Tomorrow night we'll be in Greenville, North Carolina, or on the way to Greenville, North Carolina for South Carolina and East Carolina. And Chris will be over at Coastal Carolina and Kansas tomorrow night at Coastal Carolina. All that covered for you here. We got a big announcement for you tomorrow night. You want to be tuned into Sports Talk. It's related to where we can reach you and where you can reach us. We'll have that information for you on the show tomorrow night and on Twitter. We'll actually be able to put it out on Twitter. We can't announce it until tomorrow and put it out on Twitter tomorrow. But it's quite a big step for all of us here at Sports Talk. We're very, very excited. And, a part of the state I think will be very excited as well. As we head to the upstate and welcome in from North Greenville University, Coach Jeff Farrington, coming off a win last week over Limestone, staying in-state, taking on another in-state rival, Newberry, on Saturday, which I think is going to be a heck of a ball game. Coach, welcome in. It's good to have you with us.
Thank you, Phil. Glad to be here.
Yes, sir. Congratulations on the win last week over a good Limestone team. What'd you think of their performance? I think you ran the ball particularly well, and you got some good defensive play.
We did. We were always pleased to when you get a win, and it was, I think we talked earlier during camp that we hadn't played a game since 2019. We had a couple of scrimmages in the spring, so both teams were excited, ready to go, and we just were fortunate to come out on top. I was pleased with our performance, thought our kids prepared well and played very hard, and we were able to make a few more plays. So, it was a good win for us.
Kalen Riley, your quarterback, 4 touchdown passes, 4 different receivers. So you kind of like the way that he spread the football around. Kind of hard to focus on any one guy when you're getting the touchdowns from 4 different guys.
Well, he was able to find a couple, and really, Coach Robbins did a great job preparing our team as offensive coordinator and put Kalen in good positions. And so we were just fortunate to get it delivered out there, and the guys caught it and made the plays. So we look forward to working with Kalen and continue to see him develop.
Complimenting him was Dre Williams, career high 171 yards, had a 94-yard touchdown run, put you guys up 28-3. What'd you see in him? What about him, but also your offensive line? You must have had a good game from your guys up front.
We did, and we constantly preach. We got to win in the trenches, and our guys are working toward it. We're not perfect, but they're working really hard. And Dre was able to get loose a couple times, and was able to break a few tackles, and he does have some speed when he gets in the open field. So, it was good to see. And we've kind of been beat up offensive line, and like everybody, you're sick and not sick, and trying to get that combination together. It's a work in progress, and everybody's kind of experiencing that in college football, I'm sure. But it's always good to see that ball get in the end zone.
Jeff Farrington, head football coach at North Greenville University, joining us tonight. The Crusaders and the Newberry Wolves coming up on a Saturday. And, Coach, speaking of that game Are you guys hoping that on down the line that might become a pretty good little rivalry with you? Newberry sort of lost their big rival in the state in PC several years ago. So are you hoping, and is Newberry maybe hoping that you guys will be able to fill that void moving forward?
Well, I can't answer for them, but I know our guys enjoy playing them. A lot of the players know each other. They played against each other, or played with each other in high school. Coach Knight and his staff, they do a great job. They've been there a while, and we've had an opportunity to be up here for a little bit now, and we've played each other a few times, and we're right down the road, so it makes sense that we have an opportunity. And now there's factors out of our control. We're both in two different conferences, so you always have to manage around those early dates to see if you can work those out. But from a standpoint of distance and travel, it's perfect for us. And I mean, they're well contested games, very physical ball games, and you talk about the line of scrimmage. They do a great job with it on both sides of the ball.
With regards to your conference, you don't open conference play for another couple of weeks, but for the most part, North Greenville has been without a conference affiliation. You joined the Gulf South a couple of seasons ago. What kind of impact have you seen from finally having an opportunity to be in a league? Has it helped recruiting? Has it helped the program as a whole? Where have you seen the biggest benefits for your program now being a member of the Gulf South, which for folks who maybe don't follow D2 football all that closely is one of the best leagues in the country?
It is. There's no question about that. And, I think it gives our guys a home. It gives them some conference that they're associated with, one that they can take a lot of pride, if you use that word, but ownership maybe that, we got some goals now within a conference, and we have a direction on what we're shooting for. We're not just out there trying to put a regular season schedule together and hope for the best. We're playing against a lot of quality opponents, and we're developing some rivalries within our conference. Are we where we need to be? I don't know, but we're trying to work hard to get there. And it's excellent football, and really, I mean, the Division II schools that we play in conference and out of conference, it's good football. We're fortunate to be in the Southeast, and football means a lot. A lot of really good high school programs, a lot of coaching, and a lot of players that it means a lot to. So we're excited about that.
What about this Newberry team? They opened up with a nice win over Barton last weekend, ran the ball well also. Is this going to be a game where two teams really trying to establish the run?
Well, yeah, they had the second half, they controlled the ball and looked like they got into a pretty good rhythm. The running back had a big gain, 24, Anderson, and he's a very good player. And they rotate some running backs, but he had the yards and broke some big plays. He's hard to tackle. Of course, our quarterback Harris has been there for a while now, and is very athletic as a runner as well. Can throw the ball too. But you look at them across the board; they got a lot of seniors, a lot of redshirt juniors on their offensive line, and I think Irby, the receiver's been there forever, and he keeps making big plays for them. So they're a handful, and defensively, they're always going to make you earn it. They believe in what they do. They play very hard, and they're not, they believe in their system, and that's what you love about them is they know what they do. They know how to adjust, and they're going to make you earn everything that you get.
Coach, as always, we appreciate your time. Should be a heck of a game over at Newberry Saturday, one of the better games involving state teams this weekend. Good luck to you, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you. Thank you, Phil.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you all again for all you do.
Thank you, Coach. Always a pleasure.
Okay.
Jeff Farrington from way up in North Greenville, up in the mountains there in Tigerville of South Carolina. Appreciate him being with us. Before the break, let's hear some comments from USC quarterback Luke Doty. Everybody's wondering, is Luke Doty going to play Saturday for the Gamecocks? Is he 100% healthy? This week at a press conference over at USC, he updated everybody on the health of the much talked about foot and what he's been doing to get it ready.
In preparation for, the coming weeks, this week, it probably best that I didn't play. But my foot's feeling better, each and every single day. I'm doing a bunch of rehab, a bunch of running on it. And it's just trying to make sure that I'm at a good point physically, to, I can make a full return and really feel good on it.
And how close do you feel like you are at this point?
I feel like I'm pretty close. I did a lot of stuff today, in practice, and it felt good. So it's definitely been a good recovery. And it still got a little ways to go, but I'm definitely getting there, and I'm feeling good about it.
Luke, with the situation being the way it is, I mean, how do you kind of view it? I know you're very supportive of your teammates, but I'm sure deep down you have that competitor in you.
Yeah.
How do you view the situation, especially the way that Zeb performed the other night?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like Coach Beamer says all the time, competition is a core value, and that's something that we, as especially quarterbacks, we value. So like today, everybody was getting reps. Everybody was in there, calling plays, doing what we do. So we had a lot of fun doing it. We supported each other, and we got after it together. So competition is like I said, something we strive to do every single day. So it's definitely been a lot of fun, especially having Zeb out there, as well as Jason, Connor, Colton, Jake, all those other guys.
Luke, you kind of touched on it, but in terms of like this week and getting your foot healthy, what is it do you feel like you need to be able to do in order to go out there and play Saturday?
Yeah.
Like, what does that look like, the next 3-4 days?
Yeah, just feel confident in running again. And I definitely think I've got that confidence back, in just the things that I do, during practice, outside of practice, taking care of my body, not only my foot, but, everything else as well, shoulder, legs, all that good stuff. So that plays a big part in it. But definitely being able to run at 100%, that's definitely something that I want to feel confident in. And it's, like I said, it's getting better every single day. So,
Luke, a couple of questions. One, how tough is it when you have to face a guy like Jordan Birch on defense and he's coming at you? I know you guys don't get touched in practice, but
yeah,
how tough is that?
It's not only him, but that entire defensive line with JJ, Jabari, Aaron. Those guys are amazing, and I think they prepare us for what we see, or what we're going to see going into really the heart of our schedule once we get into the SEC play, the region play. Those are some of the best guys in the league, and they've done well for us so far, especially on Saturday pitching a shutout. That was huge for us. And we couldn't be more proud of those guys, and happy to have them on our side rather than across from us. So,
and also I'm sure you saw him, hit the top gear running that pick six back. If it ever came to chance where you could get that guy on offense, how fun would that be?
We'd have a lot of fun with it. I know he played a little bit of tight end and running back for Coach Kimry whenever he was at Hammond. So it'd be pretty fun to have him out there.
From your vantage point on the sideline this past Saturday, how would you rate how Zeb did? What about what he did this past weekend impressed you?
I thought he did awesome, man. Just watching the way he goes out there and executes, and just he does everything that he's asked to do, and he does it at 110%. And that's something that me personally, I look up to him. He's an awesome guy. He's been around for a long time. He's played a lot of football, so he's an awesome guy to talk to about not only ball, but just about life, life in general. But just watching the way that he went out there and did everything he could to move the ball down the field, command the offense, and really just put drives together, and being himself. I know he talked about that, whenever he was up here, but that's something that I admire about him is just, the way that he goes out there and just does what he has to do and executes.
There you go, Luke Doty. Time will tell if he'll be the starter for the Gamecocks Saturday or if he takes any snaps. If he's healthy, Chuck thinks it's going to be Zeb Nolan starting, but maybe Doty coming in and getting some snaps. Definitely not a bad move if he's healthy to try to help win this game. Of course, you want that to be the number one priority, but also helping him get some snaps to get ready for that trip to Georgia the following week. James Skalski knows something about the Georgia offense. He saw it up first last Saturday night. We'll hear from the Clemson linebacker.
There was just a lack of Black women, business owners, entrepreneurs, creatives. Growing up, I didn't see that. I figured out that I wanted to be a photographer for women of color. I found my niche and I'm sticking to it.
Each year, the South Carolina Education Lottery raises millions of dollars for scholarships and grants that help students prepare for their dream career. Just like Kristen, your passion is our purpose.
All South Carolinians are now eligible for the COVID-19 vaccines. For help finding a vaccine location in your area, visit scdhec.gov/vaxlocator or call 1-866-365-8110. COVID-19 vaccines are free and don't require ID or insurance. Visit scdhec.gov/vaxlocator or call 1-866-365-8110 to find a vaccine location near you.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I love sports, and I've helped people for over 30 years. Contact me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com when the insurance company won't pay your claim or you have complicated issues. Some other business causes your business to lose money, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. When you lose a relative and find out you got cut out of a will or don't get what was promised. When you have serious injury, like from a wreck or mishap or on the job, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
Life, it has its ups and downs. Sometimes it's little things like hitting every red light or dropping your cell phone. Maybe it's the bills, rent, or pressure at work. But when it comes to the South Carolina Education Lottery, you should never feel like playing will solve everything. The lottery is a game. It's played for fun. So set a dollar amount. Expect not to win and make sure responsibilities, family, friends, and work come first. Visit playresponsiblysc.com.
South Carolina and the SEC announced league schedules today. The Gamecock basketball team, men, will open up league play January 4th, home to Auburn. Then they'll go to Vanderbilt. Then they'll go to Tennessee back-to-back. Home game against Florida, trip to Arkansas. Home games, Georgia, Vanderbilt. Then a trip to Texas A&M to close out January. February at Mississippi State, home to Tennessee and Kentucky. At Georgia and Ole Miss, LSU, Mississippi State at home, at Alabama, Missouri at home, and at Auburn to close it out. So one game against Kentucky, and that will be home. Always look at how many times you're playing Kentucky. They get Kentucky at home this year in the regular season. They don't have to go to Lexington. Panthers receiver Shi Smith, the only player who did not practice today, been working through a shoulder injury. Our updated poll, we changed the poll question because the odds changed. So 83.3% of 102 votes thus far are saying take the Gamecocks, lay the points. 16.7% are saying take the points with East Carolina. All right. Now, this week, Clemson players trying to deal with that stinging loss to Georgia. James Skalski, good spokesman for the Clemson team, 6-year veteran and leader of the defense, if not leader of the overall team. He spoke with the media this week about the experience of playing again in front of a packed house and the way the defense played. No shame on the defense for that loss the other night.
I mean, it was awesome. I mean, obviously we didn't win, but I had a great time. You know, I thought the defense played really well, and that was a great game. So I think, you know, obviously, like I said, we're disappointed, but there's a lot in front of us.
Can you remember the last time that the defense TTU played that well against such a quality opponent?
Maybe the Natty in 18 or in 18-19, you know, but that was a great performance, you know, on our part.
What was Coach Venable's message to you guys after the game and even yesterday, if you saw him?
I'm just proud of us, proud of the way we played, proud of, I mean, you know, before the Georgia game, we had a pretty terrible showing versus Ohio State where when we weren't physical, we weren't, you know, we didn't play Clemson football. So I think we were just happy that we played Clemson football again Saturday night. We were, you know, mean and physical, and got nasty, in the trenches, and that's how we like it. So.
James, in the trenches, you talk about Tyler wasn't in the game. What did you think of Trey Williams' performance on Saturday night? What did you tell him today about Saturday, good or bad?
I mean, I thought they stepped up to the plate. Obviously you get watch the tape and there's things every one of us need to get better at. We didn't play perfect by any means, but I thought when it comes to playing your first series or that big caliber game, being that young of a guy versus an opponent like that, I thought he did a great job.
Good problems. Did it start to get a little frustrating though that you guys played so well and the offense didn't need to do much for you guys to win the game? Did it start to
No. We just all we can control is what we control on defense. We're just going to keep going out there and putting our best foot forward. And we're a team, man. It's not, they didn't do this, we did that. It's not that at all. We're in this together. So, hey, we played good, but I could pull out 5, 6, 7, 8 plays where we got to be better, and we could, change the game on our, from our standpoint. So, I wasn't ever frustrated. I enjoyed every second of it. I thought it was a great game. We had our chances, and we didn't take them. And props to Georgia, they did. So,
the physical toll on the defense, really both defenses at the end of a game where you're doing what you're doing.
This is a hurt so good kind of Monday, right? I'm beat up, but I'm happy at how it happened. So it's about time I felt that way after a game. It's been a while. So
talking about good problems to have. No Nolan, no Linneman to start the game. Jalen and Baku to start. Trey, Rook. See that is coming from those guys, and is it a good problem to have so many functional players? Great problem to have.
We didn't even have TD or Nolan out there, right? And those guys played the way they did. So, moving forward, man, we just, like I was just saying to you, we got a lot of good problems. So I'm excited, for the defense and the kind of steps we can take.
All right, there you go, James Skowski. SC State, of course, they'll be totally overmatched, but Corey Fields is a good quarterback at State, and they've got some good receivers. And, for State's sake, they're going there for the check. I hope it's not another one of these 70-point blowouts where they're running the clock in the fourth quarter, shortening the game, all that kind of stuff. For State's sake, nobody expects them to put up much of a fight. They never really have in these games against Clemson over the years. But they do have some players. They do have a good quarterback. They do have a good running back who transferred from Wake Forest and Flowers, and they do have some quality receivers.
And I wonder, Phil, sadly, from SC State's perspective and Charleston Southern's and Wofford's and Furman, how many more of these games are we going to see where you have FCS programs get an opportunity to play against the Power Five with the alliance and everything, the way conference realignment is shifting? I can see, unfortunately, for the athletic budgets at these smaller schools, I could see these games going away in the next couple of years.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. All right, NFL, of course, kicking off. So there's no college football tonight. They're stepping to the side, letting the NFL have the spotlight that it deserves.
Actually, Benedict playing tonight. Don't forget
you're
about
right.
Benedict.
You're right. I was
Edward
looking at this. You're right. My bad. Yep, I was looking at the FBS schedule. It is Edward Waters in Columbia to take on Benedict tonight. Want to go over the list of canceled high school games as they stand now that have been compiled by scfootballstats.com. So, Somerville, Cane Bay, Lancaster, Fort Mill, Dorman, Hillcrest, Nation Ford, Northwestern, Goose Creek, Stall, Ashley Ridge, Wando, Dreer, Aiken, Rock Hill, Indian Land, Ainer, James Island, Daniel, Lawrence, Lugoff, Elgin, South Florence. Yeah, sorry to see that one go by the boards.
Yeah, no
Woodruff
doubt.
and Chester, Gilbert and Dillon. That would have been a heck of a matchup. Hilton Head and Georgetown, Colleton County, Lakewood, Waccamaw, Manning, Manning and Marlborough County, Darlington and Marlborough County, Dreer and Mid Carolina, South Aiken, Strom Thurmond, Clinton, Swansea, Scotts Branch, Andrews, Mid Carolina, Batesburg, Leesville, Broome, Blacksburg, Loris, Sherraw, Timmonsville, Lee Central, Blythewood, North Central, Whale Branch, Ridgeland, Hardyville, Wilson, Woodland, Allendale, Fairfax, Branchville, Carvers Bay, C.E. Murray, Lake Marion, C.E. Murray, Columbia, Cross, Great Falls, East Clarendon, Columbia, Great Falls, Lakeview, Hannah-Pamplico, Johnsonville, Hemingway, Hannah-Pamplico, and Johnsonville, Louisville and New Hope, McBee and Timmonsville, McBee and the Carolina Bearcats, St. John's and Oceanside, Whitmire and Pelion, Williston, Elko, and Ridge Spring, Monetta, Central and Piedmont of North Carolina, and Camden and St. John's Catholic of Washington, D.C. Everybody's looking for teams to play. They'll go anywhere, anytime to play, trying to fill out a schedule. Hey, that'll do it. A Founders Federal Football Friday is with us tomorrow night. We'll have Chris on from Coastal. We'll see you from up in East Carolina. Have a great night.
Someone will be right with you. The Point.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107. The Point.
Breaking news this hour from